Welcome to Winds of Change. Today we'll be talking about personality styles. You've probably heard of tests such as Myers-Briggs, 5B, or True Colors. With guidance from our subject matter expert Teresa Comey, our goal for today is to explore what the results of these tests mean, how people use them, and the impacts of these results on their daily lives. Welcome to the show, Teresa.
Hi, Jeevy.
So, Teresa, tell me, what is, first of all, let's start with your background. Tell me a little bit about your background and your interest in personality styles.
Okay, well, I'm really fascinated by the whole theory and understanding of why people are the way they are, what makes them do the things that they do. But I sort of got here from a kind of a journey that took a few paths, a few twists, a few turns, a few different careers, until luckily I ended up somewhere in about 2002 at a crossroads where I just jumped over and went back to school, did my master's degree in organizational leadership. And really from there, that's where my career started to take on sort of a whole organizational approach to why people communicate, what conflicts they could possibly run into because of our differences, and really understanding each other, not only in the workplace, but in our personal relationships and, you know, in both those areas.
I always find it to be such an oxymoron where we're similar according to just being human beings, and yet we're so diverse and so different. So having said that now, what is personality styling? Like, what does that even mean?
I think the first thing I'd like to say is that it's not about being prescriptive or putting you in a box. It's about understanding what makes you you. And you're absolutely right. The more we are alike, the more we're still different and unique in how we present and behave in our same styles. And so I like to think of it as a way of just looking at us to help us understand to be better in interacting with each other.
Now, my understanding of your experience is that you teach in multiple facilities. Now, help me understand how personality styles, first of all, where do you teach? And in that work, do you use personality styling?
Absolutely. I'm lucky enough that I teach at UBC in the Sauder School of Business and in the continuing education. We work in the project management program. So I use it there within the teams to help them understand how they communicate and maybe why we have some hot spots or some discomfort when we work in teams. And it's really kind of fun there because we learn a lot. And they quite often say that was one of the most valuable pieces they learned going forward in project managers. I also teach at BCIT, and I teach in the School of Business there, doing some work in the organizational behavior section. And I do two courses, one using exclusively Myers-Briggs, and the other one is a multiple of personality approaches and understanding interpersonal skills, but I use a different tool. I use a simpler tool in that particular program.
Okay, wow, you're a busy woman.
Yeah, I generally do probably about 250 personality profile assessments in a year.
Wow. Now, when somebody gets their personality style done, what sort of an impact do you see on them? Like right from when they see, or do you discuss the analysis with them? Like how does that process of actually doing the test work?
There's different ways of doing it. Sometimes we do some things online, and sometimes we do it live in the classroom or in the office. Both approaches work fine, but the success of understanding is only in the debrief of it. Generally, though, people open them up and you hear all kinds of chuckles, and they say, that is so much like me. I didn't expect this to be like me. And sometimes I hear them, that really freaked me out, or oh, my wife is going to think this is hysterical, and fun little conversations like that.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun when I read mine because I thought, wow, and it's pretty detailed. The results are pretty detailed. Now, there's also, you can go online and get free tests. Like there's a wide range of testing, right? So how do you know you're getting one that's really relevant to what it is that you want to get out of it?
The relevance part is a really great question. And again, back to, you can do those tests online and you get a piece of the information. But the bigger picture is, what do you do with it after you find out that I'm this way, and what does that mean anyway? because you can understand why you behave some way and appreciate that, yes, that tool named it right on. But then it's of very little value then other than to confirm who you are. The real value comes in using it to shift and understand and to communicate better with people and to help resolve things like conflict or differences of approaches for the same situation. But I always say to people, give it a try, and if it piques your interest, give me a call, and we'll talk about it, and maybe we can do some more work with it than just that. But it's an easy place to start.
So Teresa, when you say, for example, you need to decide that you want to pick a test. Like, I understand there's a whole series of different types of tests, which I'm hoping we'll touch base on. But I just wanted to tell you a story about what you just said, where if somebody does a test, and for example, it comes out that, with their equivalent within the amount of whatever the measures are, you can get that result and look at it and say, okay, great, well, this looks like, I'm pretty equivalent in all 4 quadrants of a certain test. And then you look at it and you think, you make your own judgment, because in the absence of information, you'll make up your own information, right? And so I really love what you said about the analysis part of somebody helping you decipher what it actually means. And you're right about the utilization, because doing the test itself doesn't mean as much as the utilization of the information.
Right. And I think too, when we decide what tool to use, the question that I would ask is, what do you want to do with it, and how much time have we got with it? So, for instance, the one tool that we talked about, which is True Colors. True Colors is a licensed tool in the United States. It's actually a temperament tool, and in Canada we use something called personality dimension. So it's the Canadianized licensing of it, and it has it does a little bit more with introversion and extroversion than the True Colors does. So for me, when I decide what to do, the decider is, what information are we looking to achieve? Another tool I use is something called a strength deployment inventory. And while it's not specifically a personality tool, it's understanding the motivations behind your behaviors. So instead of talking about your personality traits, we're talking about your motivations. So again, we really have to clarify the purpose of it and what we want to achieve with it. And the other thing I always say is, whatever tool you've used before, you're probably better to stick with the same tool if you want to have continuity in your organization than to kind of use the tool of the day. It's really about creating a language so that we communicate and understand to each other.
So when you administer the test, can anybody administer these tests, or do you actually have to be certified separately within each, whether it's Myers-Briggs, whether it's True Colors? Do you have to have some sort of certification?
Yes, you do. And each one of those tools, and there are more tools than the 3 that I've spoken about, each one of them requires that you to do some sort of licensing, because again, the application of the tool requires some sort of level of understanding of what the tool is, and some integrity of how the tool is used, and really the ethics of what the tool is used for. And if you don't have those in place, then you run the risk of using the tool in a way that's maybe not appropriate for the actual development of the tool.
Because there's a lot of vulnerability that's exposed in some of those test results, and I've seen people respond by saying, oh, that's not me at all. And generally there's something behind that when somebody's reacting so strongly to the test results. Now, if I did the test repetitively over a period of time, would I get the same results all the time, or would it be dependent on something?